Yes, hello everyone. I'm going to do a quick video reply for Cyber Cafe number one, addressing some of the issues and questions that have been raised, and I'll tie in a few other things too that are of relevance. Okay? Alright, so everybody's semester has gotten off to a great start, and I'm looking forward to going on this journey with you. And first things first, number one, in college, we're going to, discover new things, new ideas, new thinkers, and, they're going to occupy our minds for a bit. We kind of get to try them on, like we would try on clothes at a department store, and decide whether this is for us or it's not for us, or we might put it on the back burner for later, okay? Well, poetry is one of those things that we're going to come across, whether it's in a literature class or it's in, say, a philosophy class. So some of us might not consider ourselves, very literary, and you know what, that's okay. Just stick with it. And you will develop a taste for poetry or some of the subject matter that poets deal with. So, speaking of subject matter, that poetry collection, War All the Time, what does that refer to? Poets choose words very carefully. War all the time. Why not war some of the time? Or why not war most of the time? Why all? Go ahead and think about that. Okay. Well, how about this? Humans are, at war with so many things. When you add up all these things, it's like we're at war all the time. So, humans, for example, are at war with themselves. Are there things about yourself, whether it's something from your past or even something that you're currently struggling with that you don't like? Something that you're currently struggling with about yourself that you don't like? I bet there is. Okay. What about war with other people? Are you at war with somebody right now? Maybe noisy neighbors, maybe a bank teller who never smiles, never says thank you or you're welcome, or maybe it's, the in-laws at the Thanksgiving table. We all know what that's like. Okay. Or we can turn it up a notch or two. It could be, two athletes, who don't like each other. Say two quarterbacks from the NFL, there's a big rivalry. Okay, something like that, or NBA teams. Think of, the Detroit Pistons and the Boston Celtics of the 1980s. Those two teams did not like each other. That's humans against other humans. That's war all the time. Okay, and the same way that I'm at war with myself and certain things about myself that I don't like. Okay, what about humans and God? Can humans be at war with God? Well, if you've ever opened the Hebrew Bible or the Christian Bible, the answer is yes. Very clearly, humans are at war with God. It goes all the way back to Genesis, where a guy named Jacob, wrestled with God. Okay, or an angel. Okay, but the point is that Jacob's name was changed to Israel, and Israel means one who wrestles with God. And throughout the entire history of the Hebrew Bible and the Christian Bible, the Jews have been wrestling with God. Okay, and the Christians have too. Okay. The famous story of Jonah and the whale. God tells Jonah to go preach to this very wicked city called Nineveh, and Jonah doesn't want to do it. And Jonah sets sail, saying, all right, see you, God, I'm out of here. And then God causes a storm on the sea to happen, and then causes a big fish to swallow Jonah. And the fish spits Jonah up onto the shore, and God says, go preach to Nineveh. And Jonah does, and everybody in Nineveh is saved. They all turn to God and away from themselves. Whatever meaningless ridiculous stuff they were throwing their lives with at the time. Okay. So yes, humans are at war with God. What about these things? Are humans at war with machines? I think they are. All right, I'm driving down I-95 here in Florida, and there are signs that say "Arrive alive." Don't text and drive. You ever seen those? Are those in Nebraska? Well, they're in Florida. Arrive alive, you idiot. Put the damn phone down. Okay? I mean, I'm really serious about this, okay? Same thing with this computer in front of me. I mean, how much time do our computers eat up out of our day? Okay? Everybody's, let's tweet about the Kardashians. Let's rot our brains out on Facebook. Okay? I'm being very serious about this, okay? And you know my style, many of you. And this is how I roll, so you deal with it. And class is only 8 weeks, and then the captives will be free. Okay? But, we usually have a good time in here. It's just those who aren't ready for college yet, or who don't have the intellectual or emotional maturity to handle some of the ultimate issues of our time, who have an issue with it. But that's not my problem, that's their problem. Okay? So, whether it's humans against themselves, humans against others, humans against God, humans against machines, or humans against society, okay? We hear stories about one man taking on the whole world, okay? Humans against society, and how unjust it is. There are a lot of stories in there. We can read about it through various literatures, okay, from different cultures. Everybody's kind of got their own struggles going on, and they kind of work out these struggles through stories and plot and character and so on. Okay. So I'll also say, moving on, is that Buddhism ties in with war all the time, because the first noble truth of Buddhism is what? Life starts with an S, ends with a G. Here, we'll play the Wheel of Fortune game, shall we? Let's get the music going as you're thinking about this. Here, go ahead and think about it. Life is what? Did you do the readings? Did you watch the instructional videos? I'm just trying to stay honest here. Sometimes we need this, okay? We need some tough talk, all right? Right, life is suffering, okay? From birth to death, all right? We come screaming out of the womb, and we're on our deathbeds crying, and everything in between, breakups, and, hurricanes rip through Florida, you lose your house, and maybe a lot of other things, you lose your job, okay, you got to get root canals, your hair starts to fall out, you get wrinkles around your eyes, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm getting older, okay. Life happens. Life is suffering. Okay, well, this ties in with war all the time, because war all the time is about various forms of suffering, and Buddhism addresses various forms of suffering and how to overcome it. Okay, and the same thing with Confucius and Confucianism. Having those 5 relationships and really focusing on those and adding, virtue and character development in there. This will help to order society so that there's less suffering. Okay, and the relationships are harmonious, and society becomes harmonious. And, whereas before all that, there was social chaos. That's the big problem in Confucianism, social chaos. But the goal is social harmony, and we get that through following the 5 relationships and the virtues of Ren and Li and so on. Okay? All right. So, all this ties together, everything we're doing, okay? And last thing I'll wrap up with is, let's keep, a positive, mindset while we're in college. And, I know we're going to, have to read some things we might not want to read. Well, welcome to college, okay? You better discover it now while you're in college than out there in the real world. And then you go, oh my gosh, well, why didn't I learn about this in college? And then, how's this institution going to look? What do you mean you didn't learn it here? You should have learned it here. You should have talked about these things here. Well, that's, what we do, okay? Or at least we attempt to do. Whether it actually happens or not is another thing, but, the attempt should be made to discuss some of the ultimate issues of our time, okay? So, everybody's doing great work in the Cyber Cafe. If you don't get the grade you want right away for the first one, that's what the next 7 weeks are for, okay? That's what the next 7 weeks are for. If you're not a big poetry person, stick with it. If you're not a big philosophy person, stick with it. Trust me, it will do you a lot of good. You will thank me for pushing you a bit. And we all need someone to push us a bit, okay? Maybe even a lot, okay? So, we need some tough talk. We need some tough love sometimes, all right? And I'm just the person to give it. Okay, I'm Lee Tacey, and I approve of this message, and we'll talk soon. Over and out.